can I just say one thing firstly? I love the name Eat Sleep Boxing Repeat.
Hello and welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. Delighted to be joined by Danny. We are in final prediction mode for the WBC World Welterweight title fight happening in Las Vegas between Mario Barrios, the champion, and the veteran, the comeback of Manny Pacquiao. We didn't have this on our 2025 bingo card, Danny, did we? Manny Pacquiao fighting for a world title in this day and age, but here we are. Before we get into our final predictions, guys, if you're watching this video and not doing so already, please do subscribe to the YouTube channel and let us know in the comments your thoughts on what we're about to discuss and how you feel this fight is going to play out. But Danny, I'll leave the floor to you. What is your final prediction for Barrios Pacquiao?
Yeah, cheers, Paul. It genuinely hasn't really properly registered me that we're going to see Manny Pacquiao in a boxing ring fighting for a world title in under 2 weeks time. I should say that is a bizarre thought. It shouldn't be happening. We don't need to go over the politics of why it's happening. There's not a boxing fan on the planet, unless I suppose you lived on Mario Barrios' street, who doesn't want Manny Pacquiao to win this fight. I don't think it would be one of the most incredible wins in boxing history. For me, it would surpass George Foreman becoming the world heavyweight champion at 45. I think it would, surpass Buster Douglas beating Mike Tyson. I know the odds aren't that wide, but for me, I don't see the Cinderella story happening here. Unfortunately, I think it's one thing coming back in your mid 40s at a heavyweight when speed and timing and agility are those still factors aren't as pivotal as they are at the lower weights. And at welterweight, Mario Barrios, he's not Sugar Ray Leonard, he's not Terence Crawford, he's not Floyd Mayweather, but he's a young, fit, world level fighter in his prime. And from what we've seen from Manny Pacquiao recently, I think that'll be far too much from him. I think Mario Barrios should win this fight by stoppage. I think it would be a bit embarrassing for him if anything other than that happened. This without being disrespectful, and I do fancy him to do that. I think he'll stop Manny Pacquiao in 6, 7 rounds.
Yeah, I mean, I think I can't really add much more to that. I think obviously you and I were on the big fight breakdown for this as well. So please go check that out if you haven't done so already, guys. And we kind of
Right.
said something similar. It's like as much as we, as you say, without being biased and all that, let's be honest, everyone loves a Cinderella story, and certainly a Manny Pacquiao victory would be that. But like when you actually think about it and you dissect the fight itself and look at it, you're like, there's genuinely, I don't want to say no way because there's always a chance, but I kind of want to say there's no way that Manny Pacquiao can win this fight, in my opinion, really. Um, I do hope I'm wrong, but I just cannot see it, mate. I think Barrios is heavy enough handed as well. I mean, not one of he's not a concussive puncher, but I think he is quite fairly heavy handed. You even look at the Pacquiao that fought Ugas all those years ago when he was beating him like slow compared to Ugas, like a bit cumbersome. Like he's not massive either. And yeah, you're adding another what 5, 6 years from that or what from that fight. Like it's just hard to see anything other than a Barrios knockout. Um, I agree with you. I'll maybe the romantic in me sees Manny Pacquiao navigating a few more rounds, and I'll go a little later than you, maybe round 8, round 9. But ultimately, I don't see Pac-Man seeing the final bell, to be perfectly honest, unfortunately. But yeah, I can't see anything other than a Mario Barrios victory and stoppage one. And I think there's actually a bit of pressure on him here, Barrios, because yes, okay, everything's going to be about Pacquiao because he's a legend, but like realistically, everyone that knows their boxing is knows that Mario Barrios should be winning this fight via stoppage. So if he doesn't, and maybe doesn't look too good doing so, it's almost like a bit embarrassing for him in a way, isn't it? Um, so yeah, but time will tell. We could be wrong, but I can't really disagree with anything you said there, mate. And Barrios stoppage for me, maybe a couple of rounds later than you said, but ultimately he should be winning, and he should be winning via stoppage. We wake up on Sunday morning, and let's just say our predictions are correct. Mario Barrios retains his WBC world title. What next for him? Do you think he can you throw him into the mix of one of the best welterweights in the world? Do you think a Brian Norman Jr. is better than him? Do you think anyone in UK shores? We obviously saw Jack Catterall beating Harlem Eubank, and what was an underwhelming fight, but he kind of got the win there. But welterweight, do you think you can have Barrios right at the top? Was it one of the best world level fighters, or do you think he's very beatable?
He's beatable, of course, but you still have to have him as one of the best welterweights in the world. If he does get through Pacquiao, as we both expect him to do, you've been a world champion for a good while now. I don't think, you mentioned a Brian Norman Jr. fight. I don't think that's particularly likely. I don't think Catterall or the winner of Donovan Crocker either. I think PBC aren't blessed at the minute with headliners and world champions and what have you, so they'll probably look to keep him protected a bit longer. But in terms of who that would be against, I'm not too sure. I think the only big fight that I could see potentially happening would be if Devin Haney was to beat Brian Norman. Then I think Haney versus Barrios would be a big enough fight for PBC to make if they could get that on their own platform, which, as I understand, Devin Haney's, been a long time promotional free agent, so that wouldn't probably be too much of an issue, and that would be a pay-per-view fight. Barrios would be a bit of a star if he was to beat Pacquiao, although I don't know how popular he'd be amongst boxing fans, but that's a big fight I could see potentially happening. If it's not that, I imagine they would probably tread water with him for a little while and wait for that next big fight to come up.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's an interesting landscape at welterweight, especially with Boots up at 154. I mean, whether or not the fights happen next or in the next 12 months, there are definitely some big fights, some UK interest, UK and Irish interest, of course, on the welterweight scene as well. So time will tell, I suppose. But I suppose if you have a belt, you're more than well within your rights to say that you're one of the best in the world. So yeah, I think that if Barrios does retain his title, he's a bona fide top five probably at least. With the WBC strap still around his waist. So we shall see, but he needs to get through Manny Pacquiao first. Whether he will or not remains to be seen. Guys, let us know in the comments whether you agree with Danny and I, whether you think Barry also win this and via stoppage. Do you see it going the distance, or can you see Pac-Man pulling off the upset and what would be an incredible storyline? But yeah, let us know in the comments. That like button on the video and also subscribe to the channel if you're not doing so already. Videos coming your way thick and fast, almost on a daily basis. So please do check out the rest of the channel. Danny, thanks for joining me as always, mate. And I'll speak to you again soon.
Cheers, man.